Hey, Melissa.
How's it going? How are you?
Good, good. It was a crazy day. I had court and I had jury duty. So
Did they
I'm
pick
like,
you?
I was on both sides of justice.
Let me guess, they didn't choose you, did they?
No, they didn't.
And you know what I love to say? I told you so.
It's just like prom. She did tell me so. She always tells me I told you so.
I always do.
I thought it would be good to hop on Zoom really quick just before this episode and do a quick PSA, quick announcement
Yeah.
that the episode that is airing, we recorded the day before Alex Pretti was murdered. So you're going to hear this episode. We address ICE, we talk about DHS, we talk about what's happening in America, but it was literally the day before he was murdered and shot 10 times by federal DHS officers.
That's
So
right.
I thought it was important that you and I get on a quick call and just sort of make that announcement before people listen to this episode.
Yeah.
I want them to just not be listening and like
Wondering why we're not addressing it. It literally happened the day before. We couldn't have, but we thought it was important for us to do this tonight so that you guys would understand that it was just information that we didn't have at the time.
Yeah, it happened we recorded the day before the shooting. So, yeah, I thought it would be good for you and me to just chat about it really briefly before we jump into the episode. The episode is very relevant, so please stick around. But right before we jump in, I'm happy to I'm not happy to discuss, but I'm open to discussing what's kind of happening right now and what's changed in the past 6 days since we were in the studio, which is wild to think about.
I mean, it's like we talk about, it's all changing really quickly and faster than I think we can keep up with it.
Yeah.
I know what we had talked about when we had talked about Renee Good. I know I had said to you, I wonder what it's going to take, right? Is it going to take a straight white Christian man? And I don't know whether Alex is straight or Christian or any of those things, but here we are, a white man was murdered on the streets of Minneapolis, and the initial reaction of this administration was to put the blame directly on him, the same way that they did. Immediately, he was
no investigation, no review of the footage. It was just immediate response. Yep. It was unbelievable. And
it's unbelievable, but also, Michael, I think par for the course, right? This is what this administration does. They very rarely take responsibility for anything that they think is negative. Their gut reaction is to always pass the blame. This is like a liberal problem. This is what these people do. Yeah.
It was his fault because he brought a gun to a protest, right? Mm-hmm. Is absolutely what they're always saying, and they jumped right in. And I mean, I was looking at my feed just before I got on this call with you, and a judge ordered that 5-year-old boy is not to be removed, nor should his father. We've got Christina being pressed by Congress right now. The calls for her impeachment are growing and growing louder and louder. It's Tuesday night at 7:15 p.m., just FYI. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And we have Trump saying that he finally wants an honest inquiry, whatever that may mean, into what's going on. In Minnesota, we have the head of DHS is the Border Patrol commander is being asked to leave Minneapolis and is being demoted.
And I think retiring, right? They're retiring him. Correct.
Yes,
right.
They've sort of put him up to pasture. So there is really a growing surge. I have so many celebrities. Finally, celebrities are paying attention to this cause, which it's, I always feel a way about celebrities getting involved, and maybe they're not experts sort of weighing in or they're influencing elections, but whether or not I love it or hate it, celebrities have power, right? They have
They do. They have the ability to bring attention to an issue. And again, whether or not we think it's their place to do so, I think we can agree celebrities are also citizens of the world, right? And citizens of the United States. And if you are a person of conscience, you're looking at this and this is wrong. And is it too little, too late? Don't know. But I mean, I do appreciate people sort of, the more voices we lend to this, the better it is.
Yeah, I think that's right. I love seeing everyone get involved and get amplified, whether or not you're a celebrity, whether or not you have 5 followers or 5 million.
Yeah.
It's just great to see people posting and pushing information out, especially now that it really feels like the public perception is what has moved everything forward, right? The fact that we have so many people involved in the conversation, that the horrors of the Trump administration, this isn't the first day that we've had awful things happen.
Right.
However, it does finally feel like there is this growing swell, this surge of people who are paying attention, and the change is starting to come. So we're starting to see resignations, we're starting to see inquiries, and we're also seeing a lot of people talking about how what ICE is doing is a distraction, how their activity is intentionally designed to ensure that no one's focusing on the Epstein files, and that Pam Bondi is 31 days past the deadline to release more Epstein information from the Epstein files.
Right. They're hoping that people will be so distracted by what's going on in Minnesota that they will sort of forget to ask. And I think it's really important that this is the moment to, we can be outraged about multiple things at once. We can be outraged about or curious about what's happening, what was going on in the Epstein files, while also being outraged and calling attention to what is happening in Minneapolis. So, I mean, I think the lesson here is for citizens to sort of turn up the heat, right? Reach out to your congressperson, make those phone calls, go to protests.
And strike. Everyone's striking on Friday. So this episode drops on Thursday. The strike will be the next day. So tomorrow, if you're listening to this, is a general strike across the country. So no shopping, no school, no work, no nothing. And strikes really do work. It is important to bring attention to strikes. And everyone that reaches out to us, or a lot of people who do, are looking for nonviolent ways to stay away from violence, but still be a part of the change. So I'd love to see that.
Yeah. And, and about the strike. So this is a strike from everything, folks. It's, we're not going to work. We're not going to school. We're not shopping. We are, these are all the things.
Mélissa looked right at me when she looked at me dead in the eyes and said, no more shopping. But you know what? I will abstain. Absolutely.
Right. It's all the things, right? So this is an opportunity for the country, this administration, to realize that they need us. They need us to participate, and they serve at our pleasure. And this is not what we want as Americans.
If you're looking to avoid being a part of an adversarial protest situation, you are afraid or nervous, this is a great way to be a part of a movement that is affecting change. So please join the general strike on Friday. One more thing before we jump into the episode, I wanted to do a quick PSA. In this episode, I talk about bond hearings and eligibility for bond, a recent decision affecting bond eligibility in immigration court, and all of the implications. I talk about it in the episode, but I did a little bit more research, and I just wanted to give a quick PSA shout out that in the episode, I very much paint with a broom about who is and is not eligible for bond in immigration court. What I say is absolutely true and correct. I double-checked my research. However, there is nuance to it. So always consult an immigration attorney. Feel free to reach out to me. I've been clacking away, answering DMs all week. But just to know that it is not, an absolute.
Right. And remember, friends, what's what I always say, while Michael is a lawyer, he's not your lawyer. So the information that we give out is for sort of general informational purposes and entertainment. For your specific legal needs, please reach out to your own attorney.
All right. So let's get into the episode. Sit your butt down, and we will see you in the studio. Welcome to Brief Recess. I'm Michael Foote.
I'm Mélissa Malebranche.
Today we're going to be talking about how weed and crack are not the same.
They're not. No matter what your mother says.
all the messed up new bond proceedings in immigration court, a recently leaked ICE memo thanks to a whistleblower, plastic surgery in our algorithms, space astronaut arrests, and all the questions from your DMs. We're finally getting into the DMs. Stick around. Was this like the
platform 9 3/4 in London? Like that's a job.
Platform 9 3/4 in London. There's someone's job is like tossing your scarf to make it look like you're running towards a fucking brick column.
You're pushing the thing, the trolley.
Don't say you like I'm ever going to do this. Please keep me out of this platform. This Harry Potter fantasy.
Anyway.
There's a person in charge. There's a person in charge of platform 9 3/4 of tossing people's scarves to make it look like you're running.
Yes, Michael.
Okay, I am not coming for this person's job. I'm not making.
I mean, listen, I
crazy.
respect the hustle, but I just think of all the anything can be a job.
Sex work is real work. Yeah, everything.
Oh, speaking of sex work is real work. So there's this a sex worker that I follow on TikTok.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with her. She's so funny.
Melissa's friends with sex workers. Like sometimes. Do you remember
that? Oh yeah.
Not to be like
listen,
sex workers find Melissa and befriend her in a way that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
I'm actually jealous.
No. I was on a plane once and
shout out to JetBlue. What was the airline?
I don't remember.
We were friends when this happened. I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah. I don't remember. It was a while ago, but I remember getting on a plane. I can't remember why. I saw this woman and she was giving Kardashian. Do you know what I mean? Like that whole thing. Oh, yeah. Really pretty girl.
But with the like airbrushed on makeup and all that stuff. Yeah.
And the whole thing. And then we ended up sitting next to each other. And the plane was late, whatever. And she was like kind of like upset about it. And she was like, yeah, I got like all these appointments. And I was like, oh,
appointments. Tell me more.
Right. I forget how she told me that she was a sex worker. She didn't say a sex worker. I think she said, I'm in porn or something like that. And I was like, do tell.
The adult film industry. Oh,
do tell.
I always got great stories. I love talking to a sex worker.
I will tell you though, and I don't want to paint people who are in the sex industry with the same brush, but at the end of this flight, where was I?
I think you were going to Miami. You were going to Florida for some reason.
Maybe I was coming back from Florida.
Yes.
I was coming back from Florida. So at the end of this flight, my takeaway.
That is like the sex work beltway. Is the New York to Miami flight is the sex worker beltway. It is.
So she was coming because she had some dates.
Yeah, it's
she was
great.
Like booked and busy for like a couple of days or whatever it was. But at the end of the flight, I remember feeling like, this is like a damaged person. And I also felt very protective of her because there was a guy who had been listening to us talk.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And he, like, she went her way, I went my way. We exchanged numbers and stuff. And he sort of like made this like,
no, you're like, I'm going to get you to a cab safely. Let me just get you out of here.
She did what she was going to do, but he like looked at me. He was just like, that was an interesting conversation that you were having. I'm like, and it was none of your fucking business.
I was just going to say, and it's none of your fucking business. Yeah.
I was just like, it's none of your business. And he was like, yeah, but, and he was like, well, women like that, I'm like, wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole.
And what about men like you eavesdropping on people on flights? Keep it to your fucking self, buddy.
But we stayed in touch for a long time.
I remember you being like, I'm worried about this person, and it had nothing to do with her being a sex worker.
No, it was like no. It
you were like, my friend needs help.
Yeah. Because I definitely feel like she had some substance abuse issues, and she had a daughter who she wasn't really seeing anymore.
Yeah.
Her mom had taken her kid away from her. I just felt bad for her.
People find you, and like, also I was at the club this weekend and I went out all night dancing. It was great cardio. I was on that dance floor. I was having like 50,000 drinks, but this guy found me and we're chatting. Mm-hmm. And then he leans in and he's like, I recognized you from TikTok. Can you help me with my I-589 asylum application?
Are you going to help? Wait, asylum from Canada?
It was like asylum. It was
asylum from
full.
Listen,
he gave me the full, and he was like, can I get your number?
Yeah.
And I was like, sure, man. Like, sure.
Yeah, no.
It's like, oh man.
Asylum from
Maybe
what kind of asylum?
Maybe Stella didn't get her groove back that night. I can't. I'm not going to tell you about his asylum claim from Canada.
Okay, and you know what? And I'm sorry. I will say, know what could have happened
sir,
to him in Canada.
You were doing so much cocaine. That was you at your age. You should not be railing lines like that. That was a cardiac situation.
When people do things like that in front of me, I immediately
railing lines.
I am like nervous and horrified. Like,
I love it. I'm like, let's see how much this bitch can do. I'm actually kind of curious. I don't do drugs. I really don't. I know based off like my face.
What? That what?
40 miles of rough highway that I might look like someone who's done a lot of drugs.
It's not that. I think, I'll tell this story. It's about drugs though.
Okay.
My brother's in college. He got a ride from home to college. He went to college in Connecticut. And it took him longer to get back to school than my parents thought that it should have.
Okay.
And then, so he finally calls and he tells my mother what happened. And then my mother calls me. Okay. And she was just like, Mélissa, your brother called me. And he said that the girl who was giving him the ride, the boyfriend of the girl, pulled over. Et puis la fume crack. He's smoking crack. And I was like,
on like a Sunday at noon? Right.
And I was like,
mid-road trip crack break?
So first of all, my brother, did I not teach you anything? Like you told mom? And I was like,
that was what you were mad about?
Yeah, that's what I was mad about. And so I was just like, that doesn't sound right to me anyway. Let me call him back. I call him back and I was just like, let me ask you something. Did you call mom and tell her that your ride pulled over to smoke crack? And he was like, no. I told mom you pulled over and he was smoking pot. And I was like, okay. So first of all,
mom just took this to a class C felony. She upcharged.
That is such a typical Haitian parent thing to do. Wait, I'm going to tell you the rest of it. So I start yelling at him and I'm just like, did I not teach you anything? Why would you tell mom? And he was like, I don't know.
She's like, so he got out his machine gun. And he loaded it up with crystal meth and he shot it into his vein right there on the side of the highway.
So he was just like, I don't know. And sometimes I will say that sometimes I will say something to my mother and then after I've said it, I'm just like, why did I tell her?
Why did I tell her that? Because I told her I had a Tic Tac and she's telling everyone I'm dealing ecstasy.
Right. So I called my mom back and I was just like, Mom, Joey said that it's not, the guy didn't pull over to smoke crack. He was poking marijuana. And my mom was like, Mélissa, crack cocaine, marijuana, same thing. And I was like, I gotta go. Like, and I gotta tell you.
I can tell you right now, they're not the same thing.
I was like, they're not the same thing. And she was just like, it is not just her. Haitian people, Maizos, slide into my DMs. You tell me, and actually any member of the diaspora, you tell me what your parents tell you about marijuana and crack cocaine
being the same thing.
The same thing.
I've never smoked crack to go to sleep better at night. Let's just say that. Crack doesn't help me fall asleep. Your anxiety. It doesn't soothe my anxiety.
I'm telling you though, that is no exaggeration. But I got to tell you, the worst part of that story is that I'm still, to this day, this is years later.
You're still trying to convince your mother that it wasn't crack?
No, I'm still pissed off at my brother for confiding in my mother.
God damn it, Joey.
What? Did I not teach you anything? I laid the way for you, and this is how you repay me? Idiot boy.
Let's take a break. This is Sidebar. We're going to just go over some weird things that have happened this week. I had a couple.
So many weird things.
So I know it's early.
Weird things stay happening.
It's early in the week. I keep thinking about that meme. It's like from 30 Rock and Liz Lemon's like, what a week, huh? And Jack's like, Lemon, it's Wednesday. It's like it was still not even through the week.
I feel like it's been quite the year.
It's January.
Yeah. It's been quite the year.
I was in court yesterday and this is so stupid. The mics weren't working. So the judge couldn't hear us because it was a virtual hearing.
Gotcha.
I was like muted. And so the judge kept being like, counselor, can you speak up? I'm really sorry. The microphones in the courtroom aren't working. So I just can't hear anything. And I'm like, good thing it's not important that you can hear what I'm saying in court today.
I just feel like everything is collapsing. Right? Like, we could just start saying knife and salmon. Like, nothing matters anymore.
Nothing matters anymore.
It's like nothing matters
adding
anymore.
extra syllables. So hard cut to me. I had to yell. I had to yell into the mic.
That's why you went to law school.
I'm sounding a little hoarse today. Horace. I had a bond hearing where now, because so many people are being detained right now, the bond court they're not even transporting migrants to court anymore. They're just putting a camera in a cell. And it's giving full Zero Dark 30 Guantanamo vibes. Like, this is total vibe shift. I'm sorry, everyone, but
I don't even know what to ask you. Is that legal? I mean, it doesn't sound
I'm sitting there
like,
and I'm like, is this? So I log into, it's a WebEx hearing because we're doing everything on WebEx now because things are moving so fast.
Is it the
and there's
volume?
so many people. It's the volume. So I log in and I'm like, why are there 50 people in orange jumpsuits on one Zoom camera just in a cell? I was like, I've never seen just a throng, a line of people staring into the Zoom camera.
And the inmates are just waiting for their turn.
And they're all just standing, waiting around.
It's not funny.
And I'm like, did someone turn on like the security camera? Something is not right here.
Yeah.
And you get to bond court early because you're like, I got to get there. I don't know when they're going to call my client. So you're usually waiting around for your client to be called. And then you're litigating for less than 60 seconds, right? It's just like a lot of waiting. I usually I'm answering emails and then they call my person's number. But I log into the WebEx and it's 50 people in a cell standing. There's nowhere for them to sit.
Because there's so many people.
So many people. So then they call a name out and it's like over the loudspeaker and the person raises their hand.
And they sort of shuffle over to the front?
Yeah. Mill forward to the front, raise your hand. Melissa's here. She moves forward to the front.
Okay.
And you stand there in front of the camera in a cell while I argue you should be released on bond.
With all these other people.
All these other people never committed a crime. Like, these aren't criminals. These are people who are just in some sort of immigration proceeding or undocumented. It was truly, I was like.
And this is the first time that you've seen this.
Yes. And I'm someone who is like a loudmouth crazy bitch,
right.
And who is prone to filing lawsuits. And I was like, I don't even know where to begin here. I don't really even know if I should say something. Like, my job today is to get my client out.
Sure.
I have a duty to ensure that I get my client bonded out.
Who do you take that to? Who do you complain?
And I'm still figuring that out. It happened yesterday. So it's like, I need to like put a call in to figure out what to do here. Because this is like, the ACLU should be aware of this. This is like, and then I'm like, what is happening at this detention facility that this is what they're putting in front of a judge?
Right.
Like the judge can see that cell.
And no one's saying anything.
And not while I was there. I was there for like one short proceeding and then I had you got to skedaddle once your person's bonded.
Gotcha.
But I was like, I don't even know where to begin. So that is just like a little window into, I guess, we talk about this after the ICE van closes, what happens on the other side of the van.
This is what's happening.
That's what I'm seeing.
One of the things that are happening.
Looking through the keyhole, what at least I am seeing. And I'm like, if that's what they're showing judges, if that's what they're showing litigants.
I mean, I feel like we say this every time we talk about this. Like, again, nothing seems to matter anymore. Like, I think all bets are off. They've tossed the rule book aside. They're doing whatever, whenever, however, whomever. We
just found out that there are welcome back whistleblowers. Where have you been? We've been waiting for y'all because we got a whistleblower complaint this week that was released. The DOJ issued a verbal memo. There was like a verbal order given to ICE officers that they should break into people's homes.
I did hear about this. Yeah.
And drag them out if so needed, which is a huge violation.
Warrant, yeah?
No warrant, no signed judicial warrant. The form warrant is fine. They're telling people, they're telling their officers. And when everything was happening last week, it feels like a year ago in Minnesota, where we were seeing people dragged out of their homes. We're like, no, you have to ask judicial warrant. Oh, ICE officers just aren't trained. No, they are trained. They were trained.
Right.
They were trained to break the Fourth Amendment and do this all without a judicial warrant.
So I guess it all depends on how this sort of plays out. But I just don't even, again, this is the same thing. I don't even know what to ask you, right? So like what is going to happen? Nothing's going to happen, or this is going to be...
Plenty is going to happen. The thing is that it's going to get worked through the court system, right? So like these violations, but in the meantime, these people are going to get deported, but
and their rights are being violated.
Exactly. And it'll get worked through the court system, and they'll say, no, that was wrong. There'll be a congressional hearing. It'll take years. But and in the meantime, we've got your friendly neighborhood gardener getting dragged out of his house. He's got a LPR status. He's got a green card.
Right.
Is being held in detention, not released on bond.
Right.
Because we changed the bond rules. And then that person is either being held in detention and needs to hire an expensive lawyer to get them out, or they're going to get deported. Mm-hmm. And then we'll work it out on the flip side. It is absolutely wild.
But it not only could it, but it will take years to unravel this, right? In the meantime, you've completely annihilated someone's life, and not just their lives, but their families. Did you see that they used this little boy as bait to get his mom out? Yes, I did.
It's one of these things where it's like, if you aren't horrified by that, like, I don't know what will horrify you. Like, I don't know what it'll take for you to get involved if that doesn't bother you, right? And I feel like every week we come in here and we say, oh, this thing happened. Mm-hmm. If you're not horrified by this, how could, nothing's going to horrify you. You have no barometer for this.
I mean, I think it's this idea of the other, right? If they had come here legally, if they had done it right, like my ancestors did, you know what I mean? Right. It is, I think that they, the people who are looking at this and don't see anything wrong with that, don't think that these people are the same as them, right? They're not human beings,
right?
Because the president of the United States is talking about them like that, right?
I will go on the record and tell you right now, if you're one of these people who say, oh, well, this is happening to them because what they did is illegal, I will tell you right now, it is not just happening to the people who did things illegally. It is happening to the people who did it the right way, to the people who did it illegally.
Right.
I will dispel that fact. Most of my clients are people who are in detention and it's usually because they did it legally and they came in contact with DHS ICE and were then detained because they were trying to do it legally.
Right.
So if you're one of these people who believes these fallacies that, oh, well, this is happening to these people, they deserve it, they did something illegal, they did something wrong. That is not the case for most people.
I mean, and also, there are instances of people who are American citizens who are, who are getting rounded up.
Yeah. It just happened to a woman in Minnesota. They beat her, American citizen, and called her the N-word.
Right.
And then detained her for 2 days.
Right.
Realized she was a citizen and released her.
But released her and then, nothing. No apology, no restitution,
I hope she sues their asses. And I hope that Congressman Robert Garcia is compiling a list of all the things that people are doing wrong and suing.
I am so deeply concerned about what is going to happen to the people that they round up, regardless of immigration status. I'm worried about what kind of abuses are taking place in these detention centers. I'm worried about kids being left unattended. Their parents are being taken away from them. And I wonder what is going to happen when all is said and done. Like, I think it was last week, or I don't remember anymore, but you were talking about this woman that you had heard about on NPR who was talking about while they were putting Japanese people in internment camps, this family came to her and that she asked for a glass of water and this woman didn't do it because she was afraid, right?
Right.
And now here it is 70 years later and she's still thinking about it.
What's going to be your glass of water moment?
Right.
This is Your Algorithm is Showing. We're going to talk a little bit about what's showing up on our feeds. Our feeds are a little bit different right now.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm seeing a lot about this ice and also Greenland, but I'm hearing a lot of creators, a lot of news sources talk about how a lot of this is a distraction from the Epstein files and what's happening with the Epstein list. Have you been hearing about this at all?
I have. I think so. My algorithm is always all over the place. So yes, I'm hearing a lot of things about Greenland. I'm hearing a lot of because I'm super interested in this, and there are people who are volunteering to be sort of on the lookout for ice. I'm very interested in doing that and sort of like walking around trying to follow them to see what they're up to and letting people in those communities know that they should stay in their homes, and let them know that ICE is out there looking for them. I also have been really interested in finding, so every now and then ICE will gather up people and then release them. But when they release them, they sort of like leave them wherever it is, right? No coat. It's the middle of winter.
I will say this quick PSA.
Yeah.
If you are a migrant or even like a, I guess, U.S. citizen who might be perceived by an ICE officer, I guess a non-white U.S. citizen, put someone on your pet's tag, your dog tag, because people are getting picked up and they're migrants with their phone number on their dog's tag. ICE usually just leaves the pet where they pick the person up on the street. So then all these dogs are strays. They get picked up by like the ASPCA, the strays, and they go to the pound. And people can't contact a family member because they're trying to call someone who's in a detention center.
Oh, God.
So they don't have access to their phone. So put like a relative, friend, family member, your immigration lawyer, whoever, on your pet's tag so that if you get picked up by ICE, it sounds crazy, but it is happening. It's happening a lot. And now all these pets are kind of displaced as well because they can't access the owner because they're being held in detention.
Right.
So, but I saw that on my algorithm too. Did you see in Minnesota there are people with whistles on every single street corner, every single block.
Yeah. And I mean, I think
30 blocks.
That's amazing work. Shout out to those people. So that's what I'm seeing because, like I said, I'm engaging with that stuff because I'm interested in participating. So also, if anybody is aware of an organization doing that stuff, reach out to me because I'm totally down, especially down to sort of like pick somebody up and take them back home to wherever it is. Yeah. So I'm seeing that. I'm also seeing some random.
It's gotten to a point where
surgery stuff.
Wait, what about it?
I've been engaging in plastic surgery.
Like before and after?
Yeah. Before and afters. There's a doctor that I'm like obsessed with.
Dr. Zismore?
No. No.
I've been seeing like crazy like Korean skincare procedures.
Oh no, not the procedures.
But also like the
skincare.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love it. I'm
Me too.
So into it. And I follow along on the journey. People are fly to Korea and they get the
they're flying to Korea, they're flying to Turkey.
I'm a bald man. I'm no stranger to Turkey and the Turkey flights. I know.
It's really funny to see, it's super interesting to see all the men at the airport in Turkey who are on the way home.
Yes.
Who all have bandages. I remember one time, people who may not know, but like the Dominican Republic is a place where a lot of people go to have plastic surgery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Like BBLs and things like that. And I remember I was coming back from Jamaica and the flight from DR was coming in at the same time. We sort of landed together.
Okay.
And there was a line of wheelchairs. Waiting. Or they were like, and mostly women waiting, like sort of sitting there. And these women look rough. Like they clearly weren't feeling well. And they had just been, you're not really supposed to sit on your ass after you have a BBL, but they had like those inner tubes to sit on to like propel your butt up so that you're not like sitting on it. And they looked like they were in a lot of pain. How did we get to, my algorithm is showing.
Oh, yeah. So that's your algorithm.
We have ADHD. Definitely.
That's your algorithm is showing.
So my algorithm is like this weird combination of plastic surgery and ice, Greenland political stuff.
Yeah, mine is like a lot of ice. I'm engaging with it, but I'm also one of the creators who's creating it. So then people are tagging me and stuff. So then I think it kind of shows me that. And then it's a lot of, bone broth and a lot of Korean skincare.
Oh, I was telling you about this girl that I follow, this sex worker that I follow.
Oh, yeah?
She's got her lip filler removed.
Oh, people get their lip filler dissolved.
That's dissolved.
Yeah.
And it looks like she got beat up.
it's supposed to be really painful.
To get it. And she said it hurt a lot to take it out.
I think they put it like a chemical in there to dissolve it or something.
I know. Her mouth is all black and blue.
That is like...
She's cute, though.
I have been blessed by the lip gods my whole life.
Same.
I was teased as the only gay kid at my school with big lips. You can only imagine the things people said to me growing up. But
what'd they say to you, Michael?
I can't repeat it.
Yes, you can. You don't want to repeat it. You don't. I mean, and that's fine if it's personal to you.
As someone with huge lips, you know what? What people said about my lips. Well, I really grew into them. What people said about my lips. What people said about my lips is what Lauren Boebert did at Beetlejuice. That is what they said about my lips.
Beetlejuice.
I'm the preeminent Lauren Boebert Beetlejuice hand job truther. That's who I am. And that's who I want to be remembered as. So throw it on my headstone. So in addition to putting you in a dress and parading you. There's no way she gave a dry hand job. There has to have been mouth stuff. I'm sorry. No one over the age of 16 got a hand job with nothing. Since they were in the movies and they probably popcorn, maybe the butter. No. I need a full... I'm sorry. These are the conversations we need to be having, America. What lubricated that hand job? I'm sorry. You can't give a handy J. You are so dry fixated. Hand job. I need answers. I'm sorry. Okay, this is the reporting. Where are the journalists? Where are the whistleblowers? I haven't heard from the cast. I haven't heard. Call in. Press 2 in the comments if you've given a dry hand job. I want to know. No. This is not that kind of show. We're not going to do it. Yeah. No, it isn't. As someone who's... I'm an expert. Why? Let's take a break. Does your mother watch this show? I hope not. She doesn't talk to me. Welcome back. This is Brief Recess. We're going to jump right into Under Oath. I want to talk about space law. Okay, I didn't realize that there was such a thing. Because I just watched Interstellar again over the holidays. You know I'm obsessed with space. I know. You know that I love a good astronaut story. Mm-hmm. You know that I love Ad Astra, which is about a man going to space to find his dad because he's got daddy issues. You know I love daddy issues in space starring Brad Pitt. And you know what? Sometimes we all work through our daddy issues in our own way. Sure. Sometimes you have to go to Jupiter to do it. Why not? And that's what Brad Pitt did for all of us. He went to Jupiter? Yeah. So I want to talk about crime in space because there was also a headline recently. 4 astronauts who were safely returned just last week. Yeah. They had an unusual week in space. What's a usual week in space? I feel like, I have to tell you, I have the sense that sometimes there are some really mundane moments in space where they're doing the same sort of testing over and over again. Yeah. I don't know what astronauts do. What's a mundane part of your week that might be kind of weird for other people? Mine is like fighting with cops. Mine is like arguing with cops. Why are you arguing with cops? All the time. Are you really? Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. They're always trying to charge. That is a privileged place for you to be, Michael Foote. Yes, it is. And it is very much a way in which I use my white privilege for good. Okay. It's usually they're trying to get one of my clients to say or admit to something, or they're like, oh, hey, just come down to the station and answer a few questions. And then I show up. And I'm like, what was the question? Ask me. I'm curious. What was the question, bitch? Anyway, they had an unusual week in space that required the crew to leave the International Space Station a month earlier because of a medical issue that arose in orbit. Right. And they wouldn't say which one of them it was, right? They're not saying. HIPAA. Good for them. No, good for them. Keep your secrets. Have you been to the doctor recently? I have. Yes. Did I tell you what my doctor said to me? With your fat tongue? No. My doctor did not say I had a fat tongue. She said I had quite a wide tongue, which is different. You know what's going to happen to me now? I have a really small following on social media, but not because you said this. There are going to be all these weird tongue people coming at me because of you. I get foot fetish people because my last name's Foote. I've always been a target. No, I'm serious. I went on a date once with a guy who had a foot fetish. It was weird. It wasn't weird. We're not kink shaming. No, well, it was weird. Let me tell you, I'll tell you how I love it. Send me photos of your feet. I love it. I'm not worried. Oh boy, okay. You have opened it now, honey, friends. I have just nothing I haven't seen before. I kind of want to. Send them in and I'll throw a photo of your foot up on the show next week. Whose foot? Not my foot.
Oh, okay.
Strangers on the internet.
No, I thought you were volunteering.
I'm not scared.
I thought you said
Nothing scares me. I'm more afraid of the Swifties. Anyway, what did your doctor say to you?
Oh, so just generally, I sort of feel, I could have sworn I said this already, but I had my annual physical and my doctor said to me that doctors are being pressured to use AI in their appointments to record the appointment. So usually your doctor takes notes.
They covered this on The Pit. On an episode of The Pit, she starts recording yeah.
Okay. So my doctor refuses to do it.
Good.
But she wanted me to know that doctors from on high, are being pressured to use it because they're saying that it'll cut time, because your doctor does notes and then I guess at the end of the day or the end of the week they have to recap it.
Why weren't they? It's recording
the session.
Who gets that record? I don't like that.
Right. And that's exactly what she was saying. Yeah. And she's saying right now they're not making them do it, but they want them to do it. And that she's also telling me that she wanted me to know that the doctor is obligated to tell you, the patient, that this is happening for now. And I was like, oh, is it like at the front desk they're telling you? She was like, no, the doctor has to say to you, is it okay with you if I record this and that it gets transcribed by AI and you can say yes or no? And if you say no and they do it anyway, that is malpractice.
Interesting.
Yeah. She was fit to be tied, as they say.
I went to the doctor and he didn't take any notes and he wasn't typing. And now I'm like, was he recording that?
According to my doctor, he should have had to tell you. Yeah.
I am the worst lawyer though, and I will just sign anything. So it's totally possible that I sign something.
They have to tell you verbally.
Oh,
I asked that question. I was like, is this something that because we all do this, right? You go to the doctor and you just like, click, 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 and then you just sign your life away. And she said, no, they have to tell you verbally. That's what she said.
I found a weird lawsuit that was around space because space was in the news, and I wanted to sort of bring it to you. It's from a while ago, but it's Florida versus NOAC, where
nothing good happens in Florida. Sorry, Florida. I got in trouble.
When I was reviewing the case, I was like, fucking Florida, man. Shit always happens in Florida. Mm-hmm. But she was a Navy captain and NASA astronaut. Mm-hmm. And she worked with this man, William, and they began a romantic relationship at NASA.
Oh, yeah.
Love in space. It was very cute.
Until it wasn't anymore.
Most lawsuits, if you're ending up in criminal court, something happened where
something went awry.
No one's in criminal court because they are just in love. But their relationship developed during long training hours, simulations, and travel. Mm-hmm. And it was romantic yet inconsistent was how it was described. So complicated by distance, schedules, one person's in orbit, one person's not, one person's at the International Space Station. But no one really acknowledged the relationship at NASA, which I thought was interesting, that there was no real precedent for romantic relationships in NASA.
In other words, whether or not it was okay or not okay to have a relationship?
Yeah,
okay.
Which is
that's interesting.
Strange to me because most companies have some sort of policy.
How long ago were we talking?
I think this was, what year was this, CJ? I think it was 2007.
Okay.
2006.
So
yeah.
Within the past 20 years or so.
I'm sure there have been other romantic relationships at NASA. This wasn't the first one.
Sure. But maybe it's the first one that went so bad.
It did kind of go bad, actually. So William, the gentleman in the relationship, William O'Fallon, he later started dating Colleen Shipman, who was an Air Force captain. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of this love triangle. We've got Lisa, we've got Colleen, and we have William.
Good old Billy. Billy's the guy. Billy, remember what I was talking about the other day about every woman has a man in her life that drives them crazy? Billy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say yours was a guy named Billy.
No, it wasn't.
Because I was going to say lightning doesn't strike twice.
No.
If it was two Billies, no.
Yeah. Lisa
struggled a lot because Billy started dating Colleen. Mm-hmm. And there was a little bit of, there was frequent communication after they broke up. And that was sort of what was in the case, and the prosecutor sort of presented, was these constant communications over a lot of emails. Mm-hmm. And she was emailing Billy, pretending to be Colleen.
And he was falling for it.
Yeah. Which is like...
Come on, Billy.
It's also like... Not to victim blame, but like...
No, not to victim blame, but...
But also it's 2006, 2000. What was email like back then that she could make up an email? Was it easier to fall for it maybe?
I guess so, but also... Was he not speaking to Colleen to know that...
Yeah, she starts...
So now you're having these conversations saying, with Colleen, but really Lisa over email. But are you also seeing Colleen and referring back to the email? And she's like, what are you talking about?
It reminded me that we used to have conversations on email.
Yes.
Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
But I would say up until like 2012, 2013.
And whenever cell phones became a thing, whenever that is.
I mean, cell phones were a thing then, but like...
No, but like smartphones. Because remember, if you had a Nokia, you were like pressing the 7 button.
T9 word.
You were pressing
it with one finger.
You could only do it, yeah.
I do sometimes miss a BlackBerry where you could just like type under the table where you had like the keyboard.
I loved my BlackBerry.
Yeah.
I held on to it for a long time.
As long as you could.
Yeah.
But no, I was just thinking about like people who had conversations over email back then and how we don't do that anymore.
No.
At all. Now it's like, I need this thing is my email. Or an email I get is like, I need this thing. And it's like, here it is.
Yes. Now I think we're just using email for work, less personal, right? Because you can just text
and
somebody.
Marketing and shopping.
And shopping,
yeah.
correct.
And now we're just all texting.
Yes.
So that was not the case in 2006 because Lisa was pretending to be Colleen and she learned somehow that Colleen was flying to Orlando to visit William. And while she was visiting, it triggered a sort of like now or never mindset. And Lisa thought that she could confront and persuade William to sort of leave Colleen for her. And this is all in like court transcripts.
Let this be a lesson. If you have to do that.
I know.
If you have to like beg and plead and cajole somebody to be with you, then you don't.
Have you ever done that to a man? I'll go on the record and say that I have been dumped and not accepted it for like some time, but I wasn't like contacting.
No, I wasn't. I was despondent, but like not.
I was like confused that I was like, well, what do you mean? It was so great.
I wasn't confused. I wasn't confused. I was sad and angry.
Pretty clear-eyed.
Right. I mean, like clear-eyed, but like not wanting to reach out to the person, but like rather, that's not what I do. I was more of a stay home, covers over my head, eat pizza, cry.
I was going to say eat pizza.
Yeah.
I did that, but then I think I also got drunk and like called him.
Oh, like a drunk call.
Yeah.
Drunk called.
Yeah, I'm pretty extroverted, so it was...
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't like people very much.
Yeah, there's always the one that gets away. We all want to be the one who gets away. I've gotten away, but I've also been gotten away from.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm never sorry.
And eventually you get to a place where it's like...
circling back to Colleen.
Yes, Colleen. So she confronts her. She's wearing... she packed her car with items and decided to confront William in Orlando and drove from Texas...
Wearing adult diapers so that she wouldn't have to stop. And that is dedication.
And she admitted to the adult diapers later. Like the police were like, we didn't find any evidence of this. She came forward and wanted to let us know that she was wearing diapers while she was driving to Florida to confront them. You won't catch me admitting to being diped up. That would never be something that I would tell anyone, but, live your truth. Love seeing that people are, saying the quiet part out loud. But she drove alone, drove straight rather than flying. She arrived in Orlando just as the flight was landing. So she really had this like planned out and waited in the airport parking area. And it's described as a brief confrontation in court transcripts, but she pepper sprays Colleen. Kind of attacks them, which was later used. She was charged with battery. And this case, the legal precedent for this case really comes down to the mens rea, which we talk about a lot.
Right.
But it's like, how much mens rea do you need? And how much of an actual act do you need to charge someone with attempted murder? Right. So we need to have the mens rea to want to commit the crime, but we also need like a significant step. So prosecutors were trying to say that her driving all the way from Texas was the step towards the commission of the crime. the crime being attempted murder. But they ended up playing it out and negotiating because the evidence was so weak. There's so many things that someone could be thinking or going through on a drive from Texas to Florida.
Sure.
Like there was no documentation of the mental state other than the fact that she
wasn't leaving
drive.
anybody messages or saying anything. Right.
Right. And so the defense was like, this was just like emotional distress.
Right.
It wasn't intent to commit murder.
Mm-hmm.
There was a BB gun that she had. She brought a BB gun pistol with her. But what did they argue? They argued it was intent to like terrorize, or was it they were doing it? They argued that she brought a BB gun pistol. The defense said it was to scare them rather than
actually harm.
Because you can't kill someone with a BB gun, can you?
I don't know.
So.
I mean, maybe if you like stick it in their ear or something. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
maybe you have to really attempt to hurt them.
I guess everything's a weapon.
I think anything can be a weapon.
That's what they said to us in middle school. They said a pen could be a weapon.
It can. If I stick it in your eyes, that'll smart some. Won't it? I'm just saying.
Smart some.
I'm just saying, like, you know.
That was such a Hermione Granger thing to say. Like, it'll smart a bit. It's a bit small. And stick this pen in your eye.
Anyway.
So she brought cash and prepaid items. Some messages were described as confessional and fixated. The BB gun was described as realistic looking, raising fear, even though it wasn't lethal. So investigators found no evidence of alcohol or drugs. And it wasn't really like impairment wasn't a part of the case. But psych evaluations also showed no psychosis, that this was.
Right. So it sounds like she did all this stuff seemingly while maybe upset, but stone cold sober and not out of her mind. Right. And was very like dedicated.
It was emotional
It
distress.
was, right.
Yes. It was a obsessive fixation is how I would characterize it if I were the defense attorney. And the victim escaped by locking. Colleen escapes. She locks herself in her car and drives away. So Colleen was able to get away after getting pepper sprayed. William's hands are like inexplicably clean in this, which not to victim blame, but we know through personal experiences how men can make us crazy, right? You said last episode, every woman has a man.
I do feel that way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I have one and all my friends have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is one of those situations where I'm like, we have a woman who seems to have been driven to the brink of madness.
Yeah.
Made a significant step to commit a crime, was accused of and convicted of a crime. We have no information about what transpired in that relationship, right? Like, what was that like? What did she go through? What was that breakup like? Was he cheating on her with Colleen? I mean, I really don't want to be the one who's like, he had to come in.
No, it's not.
And that's not me saying that.
No,
I
that's
just
not.
we don't know anything.
Right.
All we have is the reaction. We don't have the action
right.
of what actually happened in the relationship.
What he promised her, what she understood it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just knowing history of the world, there usually is something. So that is like prejudicing me as I read this.
Right. Like some sort of a gaslighting situation, right?
Yeah, or
it
like
feels a little bit like that.
Or like I've dated guys where they're always like looking at the hot guy over your shoulder, like you're talking to them and they're like this, like looking over your shoulder.
It's so disrespectful.
At the
right there
at
in
the
front
other
of you.
person.
Like, yeah.
And it's like,
have the decency to lie to me.
Am I not fucking good enough? Or just dump me and go hit it? Like, I don't know. Why not just so I don't know. I don't know what the tea was. It seems like we need to hear what the tea was from her. But pepper spray was the only item actually used during their encounter. So they were able to sort of like attempt charges really hinge on proximity. And prosecutors worried that a jury might overreact to like the astronaut status. The fact that she was an astronaut actually helped the defense. And they would say rather than like looking at the law, that her being an astronaut actually like gave a lot more credibility. Because she had gone through that crazy intense training, because it is like a status thing. There are so few, like, how many astronauts do you know? I know 0.
Right.
So defense counsel quietly benefited from the fact that she had so much status associated with her Air Force status as well as astronaut
And I'm
status.
sure they looked into her record, and if she had sort of been not behaving in this way in the past, they would be like, something must have happened.
Right.
And they were able to use that to her benefit. Did she go to jail?
She did. So she
did go to jail.
So the plea deal avoided a jury trial that NASA really, I mean, NASA is the other part in this. They really wanted to avoid a jury trial because it would have made all over headlines. Even just the attempted act of one of their officers doing this got so much media attention.
Wow, they really and they also interviewed other astronauts because apparently it was having a really negative impact on morale at NASA, which is interesting. I don't think I would have thought about that. Like why? Maybe because what we were saying, how many astronauts are there, right? And they probably, I mean, I don't know, probably all know each other.
Community.
There's a community and it's a small...
It's like a small elite community, I would imagine. So for one person from that community to sort of be a malactor, I could imagine was...
What was she charged with?
So she didn't actually serve any prison sentence. She spent 2 days in jail after the encounter, but then she had a year of probation after that because she pled out just to the assault, the battery charge.
Yeah. She also lost her astronaut pension eligibility, which is a big deal.
That's gotta suck.
I'm
sure that's like a major, any pension, right?
Any pension that you lose because she invested all that time in training. I wonder where she is now. I wonder how she is, honestly.
Truly, like, it seems like one of these situations where it's like, you go through something really tough.
Yeah.
You have a shit experience with a guy. You make some mistakes. Like, we have all done that drunk dial, gone through a guy's phone because we were suspicious. Like, we have all taken some sort of step, maybe not as extreme as this one.
This is extreme.
But it does, I don't know. I was like reading it and I was like, I feel really empathetic towards this person. Like this, they had to go through this, and this was something that I don't know. There was just something like really sympathetic about it, where I was like, damn, like I read a lot about crime and punishment, and I'm like, I don't really know what was happening there, but this one I was like, I actually do kind of know what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, because it feels like, if we're just sort of reading this and trying to understand, it feels like she had some sort of an emotional break, right?
Yeah.
Where she felt, whether it's true or not, she felt that maybe this man had promised her something, or she felt like the relationship was promising in some way, and felt like, well, why couldn't he love me? Like, I'm going to make him love me. I'm going to show him how wonderful I am, and I'm going to go do all these things. But that's not how you get someone to want to be with you. It's just not, Michael. Don't do that anymore. Cut it out.
I'm still figuring out how to get someone to want to be with me. My own husband is like, when are you leaving? Are you going to LA?
He's lying. That's not true.
Oh, I'm serious.
No, he's not telling the truth. I know that he's not telling the truth.
It's
a cry for help, folks.
This has been Under Oath. We'll be right back. This is Tales from the DMs. We're going to talk about all the things you send me in my DMs. I'm going to answer all your questions. Remember, if you have a question, go to my link tree on any of my social medias and go to SpeakPipe is the link, and you can record your voice and we'll play it on the air.
And remember, everyone, while Michael is a lawyer, he's not your lawyer. So everything that you hear here,
Yeah.
Here. Everything that you hear here is for entertainment purposes only.
She's been to Platform 9 3/4. You can tell. Here.
All
right. This is our first question. We're going to keep it anonymous. As always, don't give us any identifying information. Hit it, CJ.
Hey, Michael. This is someone.
He caught himself.
Just a briefcase. I was deported for an aggravated felony. I snuck back in the country. And now I'm in this dilemma. What could I do? I've heard of waivers being asked for as a forgiveness waiver and readjusting while I'm inside. Or would you suggest, based on what's going on, to just go back to my home country and perhaps just wait it out? Something interesting that I saw was that while I was in a detention center in Louisiana, people were barred from any sort of immigration benefit for 3, 5, and 10 years. I did not see a 20-year or a permanent bar. My question is, in my documents, there's no limit. There's nothing saying that I'm forbidden from applying or barred from applying for any type of immigration benefit. There's no time frame. And so I'm wondering if due to the aggravated felony, is it that I'm barred permanently, or could you maybe help me out with my question? Sorry, thanks.
That's a lot.
He
has a lot going on.
It's there are a lot of things he talks about that are kind of insider baseball. Like aggravated felony is like a classification in immigration law for certain types of felonies. They're a big deal in the southern states. Mm-hmm. Certain things like threatening someone while using, they call it like terroristic threats, and it's like I'm gonna fucking kill you is like considered a terroristic threat, which we New Yorkers use every day on the subway. But certain things get classified. I don't know what the crime was, but if he's basically, to answer your question, anonymous, if you were convicted of an aggravated felony, it bars most pathways for immigration forward. So like you can't get asylum. It's really hard to overturn. You would and I understand what he was saying. So the waivers that he's talking about, there are these certain bans on X number of years if you've been here illegally and you get deported, there are certain number of years that you're banned from reentry. So that's what he's kind of talking about. So it's usually like, I think it's 180 days to a year. I think the ban is like a year once you've deported and you're coming back in, because this person reentered. So that is sort of what he's talking about. He learned about that in detention from other migrants.
But let's say he went back to his country.
Yeah.
The United States doesn't necessarily know that he's here. Could he go back home and reapply to come into the United States? Or is that...
So that is a great question. The problem with that is that if you have an aggravated felony conviction, it is going to bar you from most avenues of entry back
no matter what.
US.
No matter what. Okay.
So that's probably why he had to come back illegally crossed.
I mean, he didn't have to come back.
He didn't have to, but yeah.
There were choices that were made.
Sorry. Great clarification.
Right.
Couldn't come back legally.
Correct.
Is what I meant to say. Yeah. Great clarification. But yeah, so the bottom line is really like aggravated felony plus illegal reentry usually is a permanent bar. Like, period.
Do you think there is any scenario where the reason that he committed the aggravated felony would impact his ability to come back?
We always talk about this, like there's always something you can do as a lawyer, right? Like there's always like an appeal, there's always the habeas claim, there's always the this, the that. There's always a lawyer who can find something to attempt.
Okay.
If this person were like, you must do something, Michael, I would challenge that felony charge. Okay. I would find a way to appeal that charge.
Okay.
I would try and get that overturned.
Yeah.
Because that's going to free up everything else.
Okay.
Because every other immigration pathway is going to be blocked.
Okay.
Just by having that decision ruled against you. So that is what I would do. Is I would, if you were like, Michael, you have to do something, challenge the aggravated felony and get that overturned.
Right.
Because that'll at least open up some avenues. Because otherwise, there's no forgiveness waiver. That doesn't apply.
Okay.
There's no like waiting it out when it like that. Those charges are on the books. So unless you get that overturned, there's nothing else you can really do. So thank you for your question. Like, thank you for your honesty. That was a really interesting one.
It was.
I do a lot of work with people who've been accused of crimes who then are trying to face the immigration process. And you can I had someone who had 12 criminal convictions.
Okay.
None of them were aggravated felonies, though.
Okay.
They were all like drug possession, misdemeanors.
Okay.
And I was able to get that person's status. I got them LPR. It's called LPR cancellation.
Okay.
But if even one of them was considered an aggravated felony, no, that pathway is not an option.
Okay.
We recently were contacted by PETA, which is how we know we made it in the biz. And I wanted to turn the mic over to Mélissa, who has a prepared statement. As a Bober truther, it's important for me to be open and honest and create dialogue on this show for all opinions. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Mélissa, who wants to respond to PETA's. PETA reached out with concerns because we were talking about fur and how Mélissa likes to thrift and buy vintage furs from animals that it's not new fur. And so I'm going to turn it over to her, and I'm going to say nothing else because I don't want to get canceled.
Well, anyway, shout out to PETA. It was a really kind letter, and I appreciate the information that you gave us. Basically, what first said that he wanted to thank us for, because Michael and I had said in our last episode that we were not interested in buying any new fur, those kinds of things, but that he also wanted us to know that, and I think he says, I want to quote him here. He says that we wanted to share that, unfortunately, whether someone is wearing fur made in 2026 or 1946, it still sends the same message to others that it's okay to exploit and kill animals for the sake of fashion. I have said this before, and I will continue to say this. I am always willing to be educated. I am always willing to have a conversation or a dialogue with somebody. And I really appreciate the way that PETA reached out to us. I'm actually very touched by the message. Also said that if, I guess, Michael or I or anyone is interested in donating their fur items, that there's a space for that. I will put that in my social media. Michael, will you put it in yours as well?
Sure, yeah.
And I'm going to reach back out to you. I have 2 pieces that I am willing to donate, and everything else that you've said, I will absolutely keep that under advisement. And once again, I really appreciate you guys reaching out to us.
I want to say that I think it's okay to wear and buy vintage fur as long as it appears vintage. Right? Like if you're buying a fur coat that looks brand new, you're propagating sort of like...
I disagree with that.
Okay.
So I do think there's a difference in purchasing vintage fur. I do. I think like I said, I would never buy something new. I don't know that it matters that it looks vintage.
I guess as long as everyone is cool not buying new fur, it doesn't matter if it looks vintage, right? Because like if we're walking around wearing fur and like we look really hot, and then someone sees us and is like, wow, I love fur. I also want to buy fur. But that person knows I'm not going to buy new fur. I don't think we should be killing minks. Let me go to an estate sale and buy a thrifted fur coat. I guess it's like, It doesn't have to be one or the other, as long as people are aware and informed that don't buy new fur.
Yeah.
And let's have like a really hot market on the secondary market for vintage fur.
Right.
I think that's okay.
I do think it needs to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think you can buy new fur.
Right. I mean,
I don't support that at all.
No, I agree with that. I understand why people object to fur, whether it is vintage or new. My feeling about vintage fur is that is a deed that has been done probably before we were born.
Sure.
Right? And if we dispose of it, so it is either going to end up in a landfill or it's going to be destroyed in some way. I'm not sure what else could happen with fur that already exists. So for me, that's the difference.
I think
right?
about my mom donated my yaya's fur to the animal shelter and the pets all slept on it. That is something you can donate it. But I think that like the difference between...
What does that do? I'm genuinely curious.
I don't think it does anything. I think it's just like an ethical way to dispose of fur you don't want.
Okay.
Because my mother was like, I'm never going to wear these.
Sure. Yeah.
But I guess like I'm okay with vintage fur, but I am like open to being corrected. Like as always, if you've got a strong argument, like I'll take it, I'll learn, I'll grow, I'll apologize. And like, but from where I sit right now, knowing what I know, which I think is enough, I feel like it's okay. To buy vintage fur and wear it is okay to me.
Same. Yeah. But again, always open to have the conversation. Yeah, for sure.
Get on the record. Message us. You can email us briefrecess@exactlyrightmedia.com. And like, let's have the debate. Like I'm actually open to it. I don't think I buy any fur. So it's absolutely zero stakes for me. But I'm curious to hear because I could be persuaded. Let's have the debate. Let's do it.
Yep.
I will say, as someone who people contact me on the internet all the time with the craziest fucking shit, this was a very nice letter.
Oh, it was
really nice.
Oh yeah, class act. 100%.
People call me names.
Yeah.
The Swifties are trying to dox me. PETA was, I have to say, they get a bad rap. This was one of the nicest emails I've kind of gotten.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So, and like I said, we really appreciate you listening. We appreciate you reaching out, and you will hear from me this week for sure.
This has been Tales from the DMs. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
This has been Brief Recess. I'm Michael Foote.
I'm Melissa Malebranche.
I'll see your ass in court.
Not me.